Do you remember a night out at a bar, a special celebration at a restaurant, or raising a toast at a lounge? Sitting at our homes during this lockdown period, if there's one thing we are all missing, is visiting a restaurant, bar, or a club. But did you know that 1 in 4 restaurants may never reopen ever again? Hi guys, I'm Kamya Jani, the editor-in-chief at Curly Tales, and we at Curly Tales have started a new initiative called CT Cares, where we'll be talking to business owners and operators and get a perspective from the other side. Joining me today on the show is the Prince of Indian Cuisine, Mr. Zorawar Kalra. He spearheads massive restaurants that is present not only in India but also internationally. I'm sure you would have heard of restaurants like Papaya, Farzi Cafe, Made in Punjab, Tiger, and many more. So let's welcome Mr. Kalra. Hi Mr. Kalra, thank you so much for joining in. I remember seeing you at restaurants, not as a boss, but as a host, ensuring all the guests coming to your restaurants are having a good time. So how has it been for a social person like you to be locked up?
Firstly, Kamya, great to be on your show. You're a lucky charm for us. So whenever you do a
Thank you.
restaurant review for us or a restaurant preview, we usually get you on board before we even start the restaurants. Doing many more such things once the lockdown is over. Lockdown has been, I think, tough for all of us. It is one of those things that, the whole world, I think the solace that you can find is that the whole world is in it with you. But this 2 months has really allowed us, I think all of us, to reflect, to pause, to be able to spend quality time with our families, because this is something we haven't been able to do. My kids are 8 and 6, and I'm telling you that I've never been able to spend more than 10 days together at my house with them. So this is one of those silver linings. This is one of those very positive outcomes of this lockdown that's been there.
Absolutely. Well, there are two sides to the coin. While we are all having a great time at our homes, restaurants were the first ones to bear the brunt of the lockdown. So what is the kind of impact it has had on the F&B industry?
So, I think along with travel and with the aviation, the restaurant industry and the hospitality industry in general has been very badly hit. And our industry is actually very, very important. I'm going to bore you with some numbers because I think it's important for the viewers to understand what kind of value the restaurant industry gets to the country and the GDP. Yeah. We are over 2% of country's GDP. We are the second largest employer of human capital in India after agriculture. 7.3 million people. That's 73 lakh people, and that's just directly employed. And there are a lot more people that are employed through ancillary businesses such as distributors, alcohol companies, entertainment companies, DJs. There are so many different industries. We're also the number 1 form of entertainment for Indians. By the way, I don't know if you knew about this stat. Indians spend the highest percentage of their gross disposable income on eating out than on any other form of entertainment. In fact, we're 40 times larger than Bollywood in size.
Wow.
So, Indians will go without buying a shoe or some clothes, but they definitely do want to eat their meals out several times a month. So, which is obviously good for the industry, but it's all at a standstill right now. So I think all the restaurants are shut for dine in India. Ours are obviously all as well shut. However, we never did delivery. So we haven't even started the delivery thing yet, but something very unique is about to happen now. We're going to launch delivery in a very big way across our restaurants. You'll soon have your brands that you like, Farzi Cafe, Papaya, Made in Punjab, Masala Library, Code, Tiger, Union. All of them will be delivering to you very quickly. We're also doing a lot of innovations in the delivery. So I think people will really enjoy this.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. While home deliveries are on the rise, nothing can replace the joy of eating out or socializing with your friends at a restaurant. I'm hopeful that the situation will come back to normal. But when it does, how are you going to provide the comfort of safety measures to guests arriving at your restaurant?
Humans are very social at heart. I think it's in our DNA. We are social beings at a DNA level. We enjoy people's company. Right. We like to go out. Everything can go offline. You can watch movies at home. You can, you can buy clothes online. Everything can go offline, but never restaurants and bars. You'll always want to go out. You'll always want to hang out with friends. You'll want to celebrate your life special moments. So I'm very, very hopeful that everything is going to bounce back. I think it's a temporary phase. Yes, the next 6 to 8 months will be very tough, but I see normalcy return in 12 to 14 months. The problem is the next 12 months is going to be very tough for the industry. A lot of people will not see the light at the end of the tunnel. They will perhaps it'll be the end of the road for a lot of people. Unfortunately, some estimates are assuming between 25 to 40% of restaurants not being able to even open post the lockdown. So that's very, very sad. And I know how much effort, blood, sweat, and tears go into building a restaurant. So it's very heartbreaking when you have to shut one down. And if it's the only restaurant you have, if you're a small restaurant owner or a single restaurant owner, then it's heartbreaking because you probably put in your savings into building that restaurant. And because of this global pandemic, you might not be able to reopen it. So it's extremely sad. But I think it will come back. Delivery as a medium of mitigating some of that sales loss is definitely going to play its part. However, no amount of delivery can cover up for the loss in dine-in sales. At best, a restaurant will deliver 20-30% of its revenue. So that number might go up a little bit. But if your sales are going to go down from 100 to 30 and your delivery goes up from 10 to 20, you're still down 60. So just relying on delivery for these, especially for the larger restaurants and the experiential restaurants that, for example, we build, no amount of delivery will be able to cover up for the loss in dine-in sales. However, definitely it'll add value. So I think it'll require a retooling of business. It'll require a rethinking of business. A lot of companies, including mine, will have to look at perhaps cloud kitchens and delivery-only restaurants and models where we will be providing the same quality of food, but through cloud kitchens without big physical storefronts. I think in the post-COVID world, whether it's delivery or dine-in, the number one priority for all consumers will be safety. And I think that's our top priority as well. The only way to get people back into the restaurants is to give them what I call stress-free dining or nostalgia dining. I want people to be able to go to restaurants the way they used to in December of 2019, when nobody knew what COVID was. People were going, chilling out at bars, everything will return. But the most important thing is to give the sense of comfort and security in the minds of our consumers that when you come to our restaurants, we've got your back. We will make sure that you're well taken care of. We'll make sure that you're 100% safe. In fact, I firmly believe that eating in a restaurant is actually safer than even eating at home, because we're going to do all that work for you. We will do the sanitization every 2 hours. We will make sure we're using ultraviolet lights to check the table before we turn it over. We will make sure all our guests are checked for the temperature. We'll make sure all our employees are checked for temperature, but not just temperature. We're going to make sure their tests are done. We're making sure that they're going to wear hazmat suits. They're going to wear face shields. They're going to wear gloves. There's going to be physical distancing. I don't like the word social distancing. I think the better word is physical distancing. They're going to use physical distancing in the kitchens. What will happen is that you'll have fewer chefs in the kitchens. Menus will come down, but I think the menus will become more focused. And I think in that sense, when a chef has to make only 25 dishes as opposed to 50, the quality will undoubtedly go up. So there are going to be a lot of positives. I think we're going to wait. We're going to have to wait for some time, but I'm assuming by December, things will be looking a lot brighter.
Have you received any directive or guidelines from the government once you resume operations? Any particular guidelines that all restaurants have to follow now?
We are awaiting those guidelines. I think the government has been very forthcoming. They've also been studying what the directives from the WHO and what the suggestions and advisories some of the other governments are giving out. So we have a good idea of what those guidelines might be. However, we are very hopeful that the government will look out for us. And I'm hoping that the guidelines will not be so tough that they make the business unviable. For example, if the capacity limitations are limited to say 33 or 45% or something like that, any number below, I would say 66% of capacity utilization would yield the restaurant unprofitable in nature. So a lot of people might choose to not even open, because anyway, the margins are very, very thin. The margins in a restaurant vary between 10 to 15%. So if you're going to run at 66% capacity, you're going to end up losing about 15-20%. So that'll be a big loss. So a lot of people might choose to not even open. I think that's one of the key problems. But however, the restaurant industry does realize that physical distancing is important, but that can also be resolved by better layout, by ensuring that the distance between tables is maintained, but by not limiting capacity.
Well, given how much the F&B industry contributes to the overall GDP to India, has there been any relief announced by the government? While the losses are huge, the expenses are also on the rise. There's the mounting rentals, the salaries to be paid to the staff. So has there been any relief announced by the government for the hospitality sector specifically?
Firstly, I would like to compliment the government on this huge package, stimulus package that they've announced for the nation. I think a lot of the sector's problems have been addressed, especially agriculture. However, somehow we did not find any mention in it, and the hospitality sector was not given an immediate relief. However, we are very hopeful that something is coming our way. A small contingent of ours had also had a word with the Honorable Finance Minister, and I think something positive will come out of that. Also, we're hearing now that there is a package in the works for the hospitality sector because it is one of the hardest hit, and it is a huge employer. It is generating a huge amount, or rather contributing a huge amount to the GDP. And as such, I think it's important for the government to also take care of the industry, and we're very hopeful that they will.
Well, you did mention how the F&B industry is one of the biggest employers, employing over 73 lakh people, and with a potential job loss of about 20 lakh people, rehiring is going to be a big challenge. Also, a lot of migrant laborers have moved back to their villages, causing a lot of distress. How are you addressing the situation?
So I think, yes, it is going to be a tough time for the industry. In fact, I think the best thing to do right now is to ensure that restaurants open up with strong guidelines, but with logical guidelines, so that when the restaurants open, all those people are able to come back to work. A lot of the workers, for example, even in my company, have moved back to their places of origin. Some of those people might not want to come back. Some of those people might want to stay and find work in their local places. They might not want to move to the metros. So that is a challenge. In fact, rehiring is going to be a big challenge for the industry. But like I said, if we're expecting 25 to 40% of restaurants not even open, those jobs will be a permanent loss. So even though companies like ours will be able to, open up our restaurants and rehire people, there'll be a lot of restaurants that will perhaps never reopen. And if they don't reopen, those jobs are permanently lost. But I think that's a global issue. Our industry is extremely people dependent. We consider our people like family. We're going to do our best to hold on to as many as we can. And we're hoping that they're all able to and willing to come back.
Also, would like to get your perspective here. Do you think home deliveries is the way to go? If yes, what happens to the delivery aggregators and the commission? I'm sure the margins have been hit badly. So has there been any negotiation in terms of what commission would be given?
I think the rules of engagement will have to change. These aggregators are run by some very fine people. However, the commissions being charged before the COVID era are no longer sustainable. I don't think the restaurants can afford to do that. So a lot of people will get into renegotiations. I think the aggregators also understand that the overall corpus of restaurants that they represented will come down because there'll be closures. And also restaurants will have to spend a lot more in ensuring food safety and hygiene, perhaps even changing suppliers and vendors. So the costs of production are going to go up. So sales are going to come down, costs of production are going to go up. So naturally the commission, which was already fairly high, will have to come down. So I'm assuming that negotiations will work. I'm assuming that our friends in the aggregator business will understand that and realize that those earlier levels of commissions are simply unfathomable right now and will lead to heavy losses for the restaurant industry and even further closures.
What happens about your international business as well as your expansion plans? I believe you are present in over 7 countries. Are you still looking out for opening more restaurants? What happens to that side of the business?
So we're currently in 7 countries. We have 3 restaurants in Dubai, 1 in London, and the others are in other parts of the Middle East. Expansion is definitely going to be put on hold for now. I think Jack Ma stated very smartly and very aptly, he stated a few days ago, I saw his quote, where he said that 2020 and 2021 are not years of expansion or growth. They're simply years for survival. If you can survive, keep your neck above water, you will come out much stronger once all this is over. So I'm very, very confident that things will return, but definitely this year, it's better to take it easy, better to consolidate, better to make sure that you are running an efficient shop. You're not running a shop that has got too many costs. You're going to look at every line item. It's time to be careful. I think growth will have to wait for at least for 1 year. Focus on the business, tighten things up, spend more time with your team, spend more time understanding consumers' issues and feedback. I think that's what should be done this year, and growth will have to take. So our international growth plans are definitely on hold this year.
On a lighter note, Mr. Kalra, everybody is being experimental in their home kitchens, trying to cook restaurant-style food at home. Do you see that as a threat to your business? And what about you? Have you been trying your hand at cooking?
We are releasing releasing some very good DIY kits across our brands. By the way, I found a very funny meme the other day on the internet where there was this photograph of thousands of people queued up, and it said below the line for future master chefs. Because everybody's been training so hard, everybody's been cooking so much at home that people have really picked up the skills. And anyway, the home cook skill level is very high in India. I've judged MasterChef India, the season 5. So I think my personal skills are still questionable. I'm not a chef. I'm a restaurateur, but I do make a very mean omelette. I think my omelette is in the French style. So it's smooth on the outside, like as smooth as a pebble, runny on the inside. Some nice, simple cheese and maybe some peppers. And I like my cheese omelets. Okay. So that's one thing I can do very, very well. But apart from that, my wife's been cooking up a storm. She's been doing some really good food. We don't have any help at home, so all the food is being made mainly by her. And so I think it's been a fun time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kalra, for exuding so much positivity and optimism about the F&B industry. I'm sure a lot of restaurant owners are going to be hopeful of the situation now. Wonderful chatting with you. Thank you.